Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com. In today's video, we are going to be sewing. We're going to be sewing along to my latest Know Me pattern. The number is Know Me ME2096. I'm really excited about my fall pattern. Its pattern features a turtleneck with 2 sleeve lengths as well as a jumpsuit. In this video, I'll be sewing view A, which is the same as view B. The sleeve length is just shorter. But if you want to make view B, you can follow the same exact steps. Just make sure that you cut the long sleeve option. But I'm really excited to get started. So go ahead and get your knit fabric and let's start sewing.
Again, we're going to be sewing along to my latest pattern, Know Me 2096, and I'm going to be making view A. View A is the same as view B, it's just a shorter length sleeve. So if you would like to make the long sleeve turtleneck, view B, it's the same exact steps. View A just has a shorter sleeve. For fabric, I'm going to be using this rib knit fabric that I found at my local Hobby Lobby. Let's get started. The first thing that we want to do is with right size facing, you want to go ahead and match up your shoulder seams and pin in place. For sewing, I am using a ballpoint jersey needle in my sewing machine, and I am going to be using a zigzag stitch on all of my horizontal seams. If you would like to sew this using an overlocker, you can. It's totally up to you, but I do prefer to stitch first and then overlock, finish my seams off second. Again, totally up to you. You can sew the whole thing on your serger if you have one. Once you're pinned, we can go ahead and stitch it in place using a 5/8 of inch seam allowance. Once the shoulder seams are sewn, you can see here that I gave mine a press, and I also finished off the raw edge with my serger. So this is what the inside of mine looks like here. The next thing that we're going to do is put this to the side, and then we can start to work on the collar. For the collar, which is pattern piece number 3, we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to stitch the center back seam together. You should have a notch, so go ahead and pin those in place, and then just go ahead and pin the center back seam like I'm doing here. Once you have it pinned, let's go ahead and stitch it in place, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that the collar is sewn together, you want to go ahead and open up your seam. You can press this if you'd like. I'm just going to use my finger to open it. And now you want to fold it with wrong sides facing. So the right side of the collar should be out facing you now. If you'd like, you can go ahead and press it and then pin the raw edges together. I'm just going to go ahead and install it onto the neck edge. But again, you can press it and pin it in place before attaching it onto the top. With the right sides facing, you want to go ahead and match up your notches as well as your center back seam and just begin to pin the collar around the neckline. Once you have the collar pinned along the neck edge, then we can stitch it at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then you can finish off your raw edge with your serger. Let's do that now. Okay, I have mine sewn, and this is what that looks like here. And this is what the inside of the seam looks like. You can see I finished mine off with my serger. You also can see I have a little bit of a serger tail. I'm just going to tuck that in using a really large knitting needle. I got this out of a knitting kit, but if you have a needle with a large eye, you can go ahead and thread your serger thread through that. And I'm just going to pull it and tuck it up under the other serger stitch as you see me doing here, just to kind of hide in the thread so it doesn't unravel with just clipping it off. You can also unthread it a little bit and just tie a knot. That's also another way that you can just finish off your serger stitch edge. And for an optional stitch, you can do a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch close to the neck edge. Next, we're going to start working on the sleeves. When sewing sleeves with knit garments, I do prefer to use the flat sleeve method. I think it's a lot easier, but that's totally personal preference. If you prefer to sew the side seams first and then install the sleeves after, that's how the instructions are in the pattern, and you can absolutely follow those. But again, I like to do the flat sleeve method, so that's what I'm going to be showing how to install the sleeves using that way now. For the flat sleeve method, you want to make sure that you have your sleeve. You want to place it right sides facing with your shoulders, making sure that you match up all of your notches. And then just begin to pin the sleeve in place all the way along the sleeve opening. Once you have them pinned, you want to go ahead and pin the sleeve other side in place the same exact way. I'm going to stitch at a 5/8 of an inseam allowance, and then I'm going to use my serger to finish off my seam. Once you have your sleeve installed, it should look like this. This is what mine's look like here. Again, I finished off the seam with my serger, and so now we can go ahead and sew the side seams together. And again, I'm going to stitch it all in one continuous stitch, going from the sleeve down to the hem. Go ahead and match up your notches and pin everything in place. I'm actually going to start stitching at the hem of the top and work my way up to the sleeve hem. So again, go ahead and pin in place, and let's stitch our side seams using the 5/8 of inch seam allowance and finish off with your serger. Once you're done, your top should look like this. And also, if you do not have a serger, that's totally fine. You can use pinking shears, a zigzag stitch, whatever method you have to finish off your seams, you can do that. The next thing for us to do is the hem. We need to hem the top as well as hem the sleeves. The hem allowance is both 1.25 inches. So you just want to go ahead and press up 1.25 inches, and then we are going to do 2 rows of stitching. The first row of stitching will be done 1/4 inch away from the raw edge, and the second row of stitching will be done 1/4 inch from the first stitch. I've decided I'm just going to use this twin needle here. There are different types of twin needles as well as different widths of the needles, but this is what I have on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. As you can see, I just wound a bobbin with the same thread as my top needle thread. I don't have 2 spools of that thread, so I just wound a bobbin. I have it set up. I'm just showing you how I have everything threaded, just in case you've never seen a twin needle threaded, but you have the 2 different spools and you just thread it through the same exact way, and you put one through one needle and one through the other needle, and then you're good to go. I do recommend that you test it out on a scrap piece of fabric if you're going to use a twin needle, just to make sure you have the length correct and everything is good to go. But this is what mine looks like here. If for some reason you're sewing and you get a little bit more fabric in some spaces like I did here, you can easily just trim that off so it's even with the rest of the hem along the inside. Once you're all done, you can give everything a press, and you have just finished view A on my new pattern, Know Me ME2096.
Well, that is all for the video. I really do hope that you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down for me below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Blessings, everyone. Bye.